6 months. That is how long it took. I died on the 5th of September, 1922, in San Jose, at 83. Within about 6 months, a family of carnival workers had leased my house and were selling tickets to walk through it, and by the time they were finished, it had a new name and I had a new life story, and neither of them was mine. Here is the story they sold. A widow, mad with grief and guilt over a fortune made from rifles. Told by a Boston medium that the spirits of everyone the guns had killed were following her. Sent west, instructed to build a house and never stop building it, because the hammering would keep the dead confused. Seances? Every midnight. Stairs that climb into ceilings. Doors that open onto a 2-story drop. 38 years of construction, never ceasing, until the night she died. It is a wonderful story. People have paid to hear it for 100 years. I want to put 6 documents beside it. Start with the simplest one. My name. Every letter I ever signed, I signed Sallie. I was formerly Sarah, after my grandmother. And nobody who knew me used it. The woman in the ghost story is always Sarah Winchester. Formal, distant, a name on a plaque. They did not know me well enough to know what I was called. The story says I could not bear where the money came from. Consider what that would have to mean in practice. I inherited after my husband William died in 1881, and again when his mother died. What I did with it was administer it. For decades. Reams of paper. Analyzing the books, tracking the investments, making decisions about capital that were mine and nobody else's. The historian, who went through my papers, put the question better than I can. If I was so tormented by money that came from guns, why did I spend years of my life, and stacks of paper, studying that money and growing it? A woman fleeing a fortune does not audit it. That is not a clever debating point. It is what the surviving paper actually shows. A competent financial manager doing detailed work, continuously, into old age. The people who dealt with me described someone intelligent, sharp, and entirely unsuperstitious. The ghost story requires me to be too broken to think. The account books are the record of my thinking. Every version of the story has me consulting the dead at midnight, alone, in a private room. Spiritualism was genuinely everywhere in my lifetime. It was fashionable. Respectable people did it. If I had wanted a seance, there would have been nothing hidden about it. And that is precisely the problem with the story. A wealthy woman hosting a seance in that era was hosting a social event. It happened in the front parlor. There were guests. There were invitations. And afterwards there was gossip. And in a valley that size, the newspapers would have had it within the week. There is none of that. No invitation, no guest, no account, no notice. Nothing. The ghost story's central ritual is the one thing in my life that would have been impossible to keep quiet, and it left no trace at all. I will tell you what I think happened, and I am guessing here, so treat it as a guess. I would not talk to reporters. I disliked it and I would not do it. And when you give the press nothing for 30 years, they do not print nothing. They print something. This is the one people find hardest to give up, because you can go and stand in front of it. A staircase that rises into a ceiling. A door on an upper floor that opens onto air. A chimney that stops short. The guide will tell you these were built deliberately, to confuse spirits. At 12 minutes past 5 in the morning, on the 18th of April, 1906, the ground moved. My 7-story tower came down. I was trapped in my own rooms for hours. The house was very badly damaged, and I was a woman in her late 60s with severe rheumatoid arthritis. and there was more broken house than there was reason to fix it. So, I did what anyone does. I closed the worst of it off. I sealed the front rooms. I left the north wing unfinished, moved my life into the west wing, and lived in the part that still worked. The stairs that go nowhere because the floor they used to reach is gone. The door that opens onto air opened onto a balcony that fell. Rooms with missing floorboards are rooms with missing floorboards. The house is not a puzzle box. It is a building that survived an earthquake and was never entirely put back. Everything the tour calls uncanny, the seismograph calls Wednesday. The story says the building never stopped, that it was compulsive, that it was the whole of me. On the 6th of November, 1909, I wrote to the president of the General Hospital Society in New Haven to say I wished to found a memorial to my husband. The following month, I sent a check for $300,000 to fund an institution for the treatment of tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is what killed William. In March of 1881. Think about the two stories side by side. In one, a woman spends her fortune on corridors that lead nowhere, to escape something that is not there. In the other, a woman takes the disease that actually killed her husband and spends $300,000 trying to end it, in his name, 3,000 miles from where she lived. The second one is documented. There is a letter and there is a date and there is a sum, and I had lost more than William. Our daughter Annie was born in July of 1866 and died about 5.5 weeks later. The ghost story takes those two griefs and turns them into a haunting, into something done to me by the dead. What I actually did with them was write a check to a hospital. I would rather be remembered for the check. So where did the story come from? Not from anyone who knew me, it came from the people who took the house afterward. A family who had spent their lives working carnivals leased the property, opened it to the public within about 6 months of my funeral, and later bought it outright. What they were selling was admission. What makes admission worth paying for is a mystery. And the house, battered, half-sealed, enormous, looked exactly like one if you did not know why. They were not lying about the architecture. The rooms really are strange. 160 odd of them. Something like 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors, 47 fireplaces, 40 stairs, 40 staircases, 9 kitchens, 3 elevators. That is all true, and I built it. And I enjoyed it. I liked architecture. I liked the work. I had the money and the time and a great deal of pain, and I kept carpenters in wages for 36 years in a valley that needed the work. What they added was the reason. And I understand it. A rich woman who builds an enormous, difficult, unfinished house because she finds it interesting is not a story anyone sells tickets to. A rich woman doing it because ghosts made her. That is a story. They only had to wait until I could not correct it. 160 rooms. 10,000 windows. Every one of them mine. And not one of them for the dead.